Hi, hello, welcome back. It's Aaron. Funnily enough, because it's my channel. Excuse you. So, I'm here to review the third episode of RuPaul's Drag Race Season 12. Thankfully, it will be a much shorter review because I don't have 4 different looks to go over. Well, 5 actually. So, World's Worst. All the queens meet at the beginning of the episode. We get a couple new looks from the first 7 queens. The only ones that really stood out, I thought Heidi's mohawk was really good, and I was like, you wasted that hair on this look. I thought Gigi looked really good, but also had it smart because she was just wearing like a plain black top and a pretty normal looking black wig, but still looked flawless. And although I think the wig itself wasn't very seamlessly applied, I really liked Widow's red wig. And then they have it's annoying how this is literally the same as season 6 as before, before the end of episode 2, we hate each other. Can't stand you. And then the beginning of the next episode, hi girl, Kiki, But what do you want? That's how I knew that was going to happen. And then the first 7 were smart and did not tell the rest of the girls about their fight. I'm wondering if any of those other 6 didn't know about the widow, sort of widow versus everyone else drama that happened until they watched this episode. Or watched the first episode and were just sitting there like, never remember this happening. But yeah, Jada and Sherry sort of talk about their differences. Bit wasted because obviously we now know that Sherry isn't going to get any sort of storyline this season. Also thought I'd mention it. I noticed that although she was still quite minimal, Sherry Pie did appear in the episode. There were a couple confessionals when she got put in Aiden's group, and then when her and Britta were like gunning for Aiden at the mirror. But apparently in the American version, literally those weren't in there. Sherry has been edited out apart from all the scenes that are necessary, which is her performance in the challenge and the runway, and obviously her win. Apparently, I don't remember if they did this in our version, but literally they're like, you win, and then cut straight. Like, she'd already walked off, they're like, okay, to the lip sync. Which is quite weird. And something that also didn't come up in the second episode, unless I missed it, or they've changed it since, it didn't have the card at the beginning on Netflix. It didn't have the Sherry Pie, whatever. They did add it to the third episode. But then what was missing from the third episode, because they don't include the sort of cards before like breaks and stuff, because in the Netflix versions there are no breaks, it didn't have the card that said that Sherry Pie's winnings are going to, was it the Trevor Project? Which is really good. And I'm glad that they're not just disqualifying her. They've been like, no, we're not going to give her any money. We're going to, use that money to try and make a difference. And like, yeah, it's not the most money, although to be fair, if Sherry Pie wins lots of challenges, that money's going to build up. But also, this is already, I haven't even got to the proper episode yet. I just thought I'd say, it seems that this year, from now on, it is now cash prizes. There might be sponsors for the cash prizes, like there was bubbly water for the first 2 episodes. But it seems that they are not doing, like, fierce drag jewels and latex outfits. They're not doing those anymore, which is kind of sad, but then again, they did have a lot of problems with getting queens their prizes. Apparently Sharon got none of her prizes from winning. So everyone comes in, Ru comes out, mini challenge, and they took this from Drag Race UK, and they filmed these at very similar times last year. So I don't know which one was filmed first. Probably I would assume Drag Race UK because it aired a decent amount of time before. So I wonder if this is just going to become like an annual thing they always do in the series, because I really like it, because they did the same thing. They had the Vivian, who won the first challenge. In episode 2, she lined up from top to best, or best to worst, in her opinion. And then the worst, who was Scaredy Cat, got to lead a team. So here they did it, they twisted it even more, being like, these queens that you've met yesterday and all you really have to go off of is their one look that you've seen and what they've said about themselves. You now have to judge which is the best, which is the worst. And I think it was Heidi. I knew Jada was going to put Heidi at the bottom. And I'm not surprised that Widow put Aiden at the bottom either. So it's an improv challenge, but something that bothered me, I'm not sure about this has been the same with previous improv challenges. I guess it has a little bit. But it was very much like, here are your characters and your things. I'm like, so it is improv, but they're being given a set thing they can do. Whereas I think it would have been more fun if they got to decide. I'm trying to think of the past. Now I think about it, previous improv challenges probably did also have, here are your briefs you must stick to, but like these ones seemed very much like, here's the act you're doing. For at least 2 of them, they were like, here's your costumes. Actually, at least maybe even 3 of them. Maybe 4 of them, I don't know. But here's the costumes that you must wear. Here is the general concept you must do. Here are the characters you must have. I was just like, it's not much of an improv challenge then, is it? Especially Aiden's team, because they would have had to rehearse most of that before. So it wasn't much of an improv challenge for them. But, you know, I guess they can't get around it. Whatever. And then in the workroom, we had 2 teams that kind of had one, two. Yeah, I guess we had like 2 teams that had like drama. Ooh. Which were 3 Girls with One Mind, and Squirrel Scouts, I think they were called. No, it wasn't Squirrel Scouts, it was Fruity Patooties. So Fruity Patooties, Rock'em Sakura was like, I really want Apple because I don't think Orange is a very good character. And what I think kind of put me off Jada was Jada in the room was like, basically like, no, I want the apple. And was kind of like, why are you piping up? Why are you stirring trouble? But then in the confessional, basically admitted that she knew the orange was a bad role, which is why she didn't want it. I'm like, you can't have a go at her, like in the confessional, you can't have a go at her for stirring trouble and wanting a good role when you yourself admit that she's got a bad role. I'm sorry, but that just seems hypocritical. But the orange wasn't a terrible role, but it was the most bland of them all because it seemed that you just had to put your own spin on it, whereas all the other characters seemed to have defined characters, like they had a personality and a shtick and an idea, and the orange, it was basically like whoever gets orange has to find something to do with the orange. But, and the fact that Rock'em did it twice, and both times Jada was like, no. And I was like, oh no, what's going to happen? At this point, I was convinced that Rock'em was going home first. I'm like, Rock'em, it's your day, you're done. Then the other team, which had issues, were 3 Guys with One Mind, because basically Aiden was like, I'm the team leader. First of all, Sherry and Britta were already, especially Sherry, were already not thrilled to be with Aiden. Were like, oh god. 3 Girls, One Mind was the only team which had members of both of the opening groups. Because Aiden and Sherry were from episode 2, Britta was from episode 1. And I thought it felt almost bullyish, because they were basically like, don't listen to Aiden. It wasn't like Jackie, who's like, we're going to coach you through it, I'm going to keep you on track, the number 1 rule, and basically were like, Jackie helped make Gigi and Heidi great improvising people. That's not how you, whatever. But she helped them become good at improv by just, here are the basics, if you stick to these, you're going to be safe, you're going to be great. Whereas Britta and Sherry were like, no, ignore Aiden. We're going to do this. We're going to do everything. We're going to try and bring you up with us. And it was very snooty and didn't let Aiden speak. And then later on complained about, like, we dragged you along, you know, you were the weak link. And I thought it was, I fully decided I don't like Britta. I thought it was, I know, I just couldn't stand it. And obviously Sherry already, I've got my problems with Sherry. Everyone's got their problems with Sherry at this point. So that really put me off. And as much as Aiden seems to have some problematic views, I can't help but feel sorry for them, because they are almost like a jinx. Like, no one is paying attention to her. Everyone's underestimating her. and I don't think she's going to make it to the end because I just don't think she's generally strong enough in all the different aspects you have to be for this competition. But I hope she does at least make it far enough that she can be like, up yours, I'm just as good as you are. Yeah. And then what was the other team? Oh, the Squirrel Scouts. Yeah, they didn't really. They did talk about things, but it was quite boring to be honest. They were when I looked at the teams, I was definitely like, you're in danger, girl. Like, because you had Widow, who was won the first episode. I think can have a few catchy moments. It could be a bit like, you know, but I still quite like her, and I think she's got a lot of energy, and I think she's a threat to the rest of the girls. And then you had Crystal and Nikki, who were, I mentioned in the first episode, Crystal got no attention, so I still don't really know who Crystal was. And Nikki, who also didn't do great in the first episode. So then we get to the actual challenge. Ross and Carson were there. I like that they had the Bossy Rossy thing. I do like when the show doesn't just go like, here's a random reference to this thing we said 8 years ago. But I like when they carry on like these ideas, or like Tucker Ho, or the Queens of Comedy, that sort of thing. Ornacia was there, but the Vivacious dubbing was absolutely terrible. I don't know why they didn't just ask Vivacious to be there with Ornacia on top. I think you've had so many queens do cameos, like you literally had four queens do cameos in the first 3 episodes. Like, just ask Vivacious to come on set. Charo was there, great. It's weird how they're never gonna let her be a judge. They just always keep inviting her to do guest appearances, which is a bit odd. Although I don't know if she wants to be a judge. So we got into it. I think it was the Del Rio trio that was first, and they were really good. I thought they were the best. They were the best improv people. What is the word for somebody who does improv? Improvisers? They were the best improvisers. The pre-interview was good. The Charlie's Angels bit was hilarious. I love when it became Weekend at Bernie's. It was funny, and even though Gigi was a corpse throughout all of it, she still was really funny. They actually had like an idea. What is your talent? This is meant to be a parody of, America's Got Talent, American Idol. It's meant to be one of these things. What is your thing? And they're like, we're a trio. We make music and we sing and this, and the whole joke is it's not great. And obviously Gigi is being operated by Jackie at this point. And it was just good. I think if this been a team challenge, I think they would have easily won it. And I kind of wish they had. Who would have won out of them? I feel like out of all of them, I think Heidi probably would have won, and I want that. I want that for her. I want a Heidi. I want that for Heidi. And I think Gigi is continuing to prove that she is a big threat in the competition. I think Gigi at this point is a front runner because she's funny and her looks are flawless for the most part. So go Gigi. Then we had, I think next was the Squirrel Scouts, who, first of all, what was their talent? What was it? They thought they were on Shark Tank or Dragon's Den in the UK. That's what they thought they were on. They weren't. They weren't on Dragon's Den / Shark Tank. So I'm not sure what it was, and it wasn't funny. I thought Crystal was the worst. I thought Widow made something of it. I thought Nikki had like just a sort of like, I'm always smiling and I'm kind of just emotional and have nothing, like there was nothing behind the eyes. That kind of worked, and I was like, oh, I want to know more. And I think if she had just done like, I don't speak any English, just done like a Charo shtick, like done what Charo was doing, do it in French, or really played up the sexiness and gone full like, I'm a slutty Squirrel Scout, The squirrel itself was whatever. The nut butter, I don't know. They were probably the weakest overall team because also even though Widow was the best, she wasn't that good. And then it was Fruity Patooties. I think they were third. They didn't have a talent either, but they at least had a concept. But then again, maybe it's because they had an actual concept given to them by their, concepts they were given of this, like, fruits standing in for, like, LGBT, being like, gay rights. Because apparently fruit was a word to call gay people. I didn't know that. But it worked, I thought. Jan and Rockham and Jada were all decent. Like, they weren't exceptional, but I thought all the puns were meant to be bad. The best pun was, "Aren't you glad we live in a society where everyone is accepted?" That was such a good joke, because it was really the only one that not only did like a great dad joke / Drag Race reference related to fruit and vegetables, but also was like clever, and I was like, that was good. And it was Rockham's joke. I like Ross more than most, and I liked when Ross went up and was like asking questions to prove if they were gay or not. I think Ross does better when he's like in a position where he's allowed to camp it up. But then Carson was really good as the sort of interviewer. I don't know, I thought this was actually a really good pairing, and I think I prefer it when Ross and Carson are allowed to work together, which doesn't happen very often. And I'm talking about them because the Fruity Patooties weren't bad, apart from Dahlia, who was a fierce Brock ally, which wouldn't have been a bad joke if it hadn't already been said by Jan, and then Dahlia just repeated it. And I'll get into her reasoning for why she didn't do very well later, because it really pissed me off. Yeah, it was the most meh of the groups, which is weird because it had Jan and Rockham in, and Jada. Jada's kind of gone down in my thoughts this week, because I feel like she didn't do as well this week, but Rockham and Jan are like two of my favourites of the season. And then the last group was Three Girls, One Mind, which was the least improv-y of all of them, so that's why I didn't super enjoy it. And here is the weird thing. Despite everything that happened with Alice and Mossy, my eyes were drawn to Britta and Aiden. Though I didn't even notice Sherry was there. Which is why the results later really confused me. I thought the bit where Alison walked off, I was like, that wasn't really that funny the way you performed it. I thought Britta's bit where she was like, come on, go, fuck it, thought that was much funny. And when, I think there was a bit when Ada was like, one girl with one mind. I thought that was funny, because I was like, you're just a person, like, you're just talking. Yeah. And they were the only group whose physical look didn't have anything to really do with what, I guess they were meant to be been struck by lightning. I don't know. They looked alright, they just didn't have any real relevance to what they were doing. And yeah, then we had the bit in the mirror where I think Aiden was unfairly picked on. And that's all I can remember from the mirror. But I'm not gonna hold my breath, because I don't know if there was anything else in the mirror. So, the runway was, if you hear noises, I'm opening my laptop so I can remember all the queens that I have to talk about. Right, love. So, the runway was Buttons and Bows. And I think that it's an interesting runway. I wouldn't have, thinking of runway themes, I wouldn't have gone, buttons and bows. But I was a bit disappointed, because there were some people who either didn't incorporate either buttons or bows, and I'm like, it's buttons and bows, so you have to have both. Or some people that would, it just was a bit boring. I thought the runway was definitely, despite being a more unique theme than Sparkle and Tall, I preferred it a lot less to the first two runways. And there were twice the girls. So I'm hoping that this was just an anomaly and that the rest of the runways are a bit better. So, Aiden Zane, what in the hodgepodge was this? So it was a sweater, that's it, with some bows stuck on it, and loads of hair clips on that fucking wig! That stupid black wig. I can't stand the sight of, and I know she's gonna wear it God knows how many more times, because she's worn it 5 times in 2 episodes. So, oh, whatever. With it had loads of hair clips in it, which was, I guess, a cute way of making it look a bit different. But it wasn't awful. Like, I could look at it, but it wasn't a drag race runway worthy presentation. It just wasn't, and it's not because Aiden's different. I think this could have been fierce. I think it could have been a really good look. I just think it had to be more over the top. Cover the whole thing in bows and make it the ugliest thing you can. Like, lean into it, and then if you are on the stage, go, this is an ugly bow dress. That's what I was going for, but it wasn't. It was just like a dress with a wig. It's Brilla, bitch. They had it was decent. It was decent. I didn't hate the look of it. Her body was on point. I really liked the wig. I liked the button earrings. I love the word button as well. It's a good word. Button. I also thought I'd go back and correct something. In my first episode, I talked about how I really didn't like her performance outfit. That's because that was her backup, because her actual performance outfit broke at the last, the 11th hour. And her actual performance outfit, which she put a picture of, was gorgeous. So it's a shame she had to wear that pretty ugly thing she did. But, and even in that outfit, I was also like, your body doesn't look right. But in this, it looked good. And I think the only reason her body didn't look right in that performance was because she literally had to put that outfit together in like 10 minutes. Yeah, I liked it. Pink with like whitish hair. You can't really go wrong. Reminded me a bit of the Hello Kitty challenge. Yeah, it's nice. Then we have Crystal Method, who I thought it looked just like it looked like a mess. It was this big red pink blob. And there were bows on it, but I couldn't really see the buttons. Like, it was hard to look at. It was honestly hard to look at. And I didn't mind the hair and makeup. Now, I have lost my rag when it comes to them critiquing her makeup. I will say, of all the episodes this week, her makeup, the lips didn't look quite right. I think the way she tried to, like, do, like, white in the middle, it doesn't work with a lip that big. But I'm really annoyed by how they've basically said, you need to change your makeup, we don't like it. Yes, it's a bit over the top, and yes, you could change it around more, like Rockham did in the challenge. I think they had a point when they said in the challenge. I get maybe in the challenge you should have done something a bit different because you went through this character. But on the runway, I'm like, but that's her thing. She is changing it. The lip isn't the same. She was red last time we saw her. You know, I don't know. I just think it's really unfair. I think it's a really unfair critique, and I feel really bad for her. And maybe it is a part of her trying to protect herself and be like, here's this over the top lip, and here's this over the top. Let me throw everything at you. But also, that could just be her style. I'm hoping she like, if she decides to change her makeup and she's like, no, I've changed my makeup because I'm being more true to what I want and who I want to be. I'm like, okay, that's fine. But I don't want her to change her makeup if she's doing it because she thinks that's what she has to do to get further in the competition. Or if she is going to do that, then as soon as she gets out of the competition, go right back to doing the big lip. Go straight back to it. But yeah, the actual dress itself was not my favourite. Dahlia Sin, they loved it. I hated it. It was so blah. The length was wrong. I hated how it was draped. I really didn't like the colours. I think they really washed her out. That sort of pastel lilac-y blue combination. I thought the headpiece was bad. The wig didn't go with it. It looked better without the headpiece. It was the same wig she wore in the challenge, which I just pointed out. I was like, that's a bit lazy. Like, why are people not bringing enough wigs? Or if you're going through a repeat wig, don't do it in the same bloody episode. Learn from Aiden. Just because it's a kitty cat doesn't mean we're not going to notice it's the same wig. Yeah, didn't get why they liked this. And then when we go to her placement in the bottom, her placement in the bottom makes sense from my perspective, but not from theirs. Then we have Gigi Good. Now, I couldn't see a bow in sight, so I'm a little bit annoyed there was not a bow. However, it took her, 30 hours and a team of twinks to actually make the dress, so it looked stunning. And the matching luggage, the fact she couldn't sit down in it, the hair, the orange. I did think about the orange alert runway from last season. I was like, you would have killed it. I really liked it. I know why she wasn't in the top. Well, I preferred what she did to what Ship did. Honestly, I think the top 3 could have just been the Del Rio trio, and I think I would have been satisfied by that. And next on the list, Heidi in Closet. I liked the idea of it, but it was too simple for me. I don't think bows and buttons were incorporated enough into the look. I thought the nose was quite a cute idea, but when you're looking at how Milk did Pinocchio, I think this little sequin number, it looked like a costume. And I didn't like the wig either, or at least I didn't like how the wig sat on her head. And this is when I saw that outfit, I was like, damn, you can't win now. I was like, oh, she lost it. And then I was like, oh, it's Jackie's to win. And then Jackie walked out, and I was like, for goodness sake. When 2 people in a row have the win in the bag, and then they throw it away. So the outfit is not bad out of context. But on a Drag Race runway, it was so costumey. I don't think the colours went together. The hat was the worst thing. If you gave me a really over-the-top hat, it honestly could have pulled the whole look together and really saved it for me. But as it is, I didn't like it. And I'm worried about her fashion. Again, the judges didn't seem to mind it. So maybe I'm just really different to the judges. But I'm not seeing greatness in her looks. And I think if she steps up her looks, I think Jackie has a good chance of making it. Also, on other notes, I re-listened to her rap verse from I'm That Bitch. It's the worst. It's the worst of the 7. I'm now looking back at it. I'm not sure how she got such good critiques in that episode, because it was, in my opinion, the very clear standout worst of the bunch. Next on the list, Jada. Very similar idea to what Britta had, but Jada came out first. So, I think this, I think this was more interesting. I finally managed to spit it. I can't even spit out the sentence. I finally managed to spit it out. I didn't necessarily like it as much as Britta's, because Britta's was a bit more like on my alley. But I still didn't dislike it. It was like, oh, that's a nice like dull, golden age Barbie look. And when I say golden age, I mean like Golden Girls. I thought it looked like white in the light, but I watched Untouched, which I'll get to later, and it looked a bit more blondie. Britta's looked full on. I'm moving a lot. Britta's looked full on like grey whitey, whereas Jada's looked a bit more like it's like a platinum-y whitey blondie thing. Jan. No choice but to stan. Jan was stunning. She's stunning. At first I was like, oh, hello, Scarecrow. And then she took off the mask, and then she took off the skirt. The makeup underneath was really good. I liked the bows, and it was the one that was most like, I get it. There's buttons everywhere, and you have a gigantic bow on your head. Like, you can't get more bows and buttons than that. And it didn't look like someone had gone, oh, let's stick some buttons and a big bow on it to make it a bows and buttons look. No, I was like, it's a voodoo doll, because a lot of them do. If you sew them, you put butter on it, whatever. They often have button eyes, as so did the mask she was wearing. And the bow, I'm like, but it was such a over-the-top, like, I'm not going to have a wig. Instead, I'm going to have a huge bow headpiece. I'm like, it looks thought out. I just really liked it. And I feel bad that Jan is now safe for the second week in a row. I don't know if I would have put her in the top 3 this week, but like, I think she should have been top 2 last week. I think she had a really good look this week, and I feel like I'm waiting for her to like step out. Next week's a ball. Does she make her outfits? Nikki Doll. Back to the runways, back to what I'm meant to be talking about. I didn't like it. I got the idea, but I preferred Valentina's like sort of version of this on All Stars 4, the idea of a dress that's not finished. And I didn't even really like Valentina's that much. But I didn't like, all the dress was basically was some blue fabric going around the top bit and then a load of see-through mesh. And the button was cute, but I didn't like the rest of the hair with it. I think it should have been like a proper sleeked back, like you couldn't see anything apart from this huge button. I got the Cinderella reference. It was like cute. Again, hate to bring back to this, but Gigi and Nikki, because of the way the season has worked, because of the way they present themselves, they have basically become like who will win fashion. And for the second week in a row, Gigi has beat Nikki. I'm honestly gonna be real surprised and kind of mad if Gigi isn't in the top 3. So just thought I'd mention that because I'm looking at her now and I'm just thinking like I don't see how she can't be. Something I also want to say, because obviously this is the first elimination. This season is, I think, and they always say it, this is one of the toughest competitions they've ever had. Because going into it, I literally couldn't tell you who was going to go home first. I couldn't discern who was the top people, I couldn't discern who was the bottom people, because they all had such good looks. From what I'd seen of their performances, because I usually do a little bit of research, I was like, they all seem to be doing well. Like, I have no idea who's going to go home next. So, for once, I'm literally like, Gigi and Jan seem like locks for the finale. But with such a strong cast, anything could happen. So I just thought I'd put that out there. Rock and Sakura, I didn't like this as much as her previous looks, but I still liked it. I liked that she gave a different hair silhouette. I liked that she had hair down to her arse and further than her arse. I liked the reference to Alice in Wonderland, and it was like an Alice in Wonderland Rapunzel crossover. The actual dress itself was like, but the rest of it, the presentation, I liked the makeup. You know, I was like, okay, this is a cute look from Rock'em. This was like a safe week for Rock'em Sakura. Had a really good look, and it was kind of annoying. And the designer, I don't know the designer's name. I think Floris. It begins with an F. You have to search it up. You can find out who it is. It's a really cool look. It's very Coraline. Thank you, Matty Rance, for that reference. I was thinking of what it reminded me of when he said Coraline. I was like, that was it. It was Coraline. The makeup was really good with it. Yeah, it was a really good look. I would not talk about it, but 2 episodes in a row, and I've struggled to avoid Cherry, because in both episodes she's important. Basically, the first one she came top 2, second one she won. The only times I can avoid talking about Cherry is when she's safe. So hopefully she'll be safe next week. Widow Von Du. Oh yeah, I quite liked it. I liked the makeup. I thought the makeup was really good. I liked the eye makeup. But it was a bit more simple, and it was like nice, like the hat. It's hard to do clown looks that impress me, but I did love the phrase "brown clown stunning." So that's out of the way. Got it over with. The critiques. Shipper won. Not sure how, because yes, her look was really good, but I think Jackie and Heidi way outperformed her, but then their looks weren't that good. I honestly, it would have seemed really bad for Gigi to win being a corpse, but I really think Gigi could have won this, and I'd been like, yeah, I see it. The Del Rio trio, if this has been judged in teams, I think the Del Rio trio would have won, and I think out of that, I think Heidi would have won. And then I think 3 Girls, 1 Brain would have been safe, because I didn't think their team was that bad. And then I think they would have had the bottom 3 just be obviously the same bottom 3, but then they would have had the other 4 girls from those 2 combined teams would have been on stage as well to receive critique. It's like the spoof There Is, where they always usually have, in the team challenges, they usually go, you're the winning team, and then if they're a small team, they'll go and here are a couple more people who did quite well, and you guys go safe and hang out untucked, and we're going to talk to basically the safe and bottom queens. That's how I think they should have done this episode, to be honest, and then that way would have also avoided a win, and would have also maybe meant that Jan could get some praise for her outfit. But how it stands, so I was convinced that Crystal was going to be in the bottom because they liked Dahlia's look. They actually quite liked it. And they didn't really like Crystal's look, they didn't like her performance, and Nikki, they didn't really like her performance, and they didn't love her outfit. So I was like, oh, Nikki and Crystal bottom then. From my perspective, I do think that any of those three could have been in the bottom, and I've been like, yeah. Like, I thought all three of them were at a pretty equal level of bad. So I think it could have been Nikki and Dahlia and Crystal and Nikki. I wouldn't have cared. But from the judge's point of view, I have no idea why RuPaul picked Dahlia. Doesn't justify Dahlia's cocky attitude. Oh, Crystal should be in the bottom. Oh, bleh. Go away. Like, I really wasn't feeling Dahlia this episode, and I'm quite glad that I'm not going to have to deal with her for the rest of the season. I guess transphobia doesn't do a competition good. Anyway, so they lip-synced to Problem. This could have been a double sachet, and I think this isn't a spoiler, but if you know how the show works, there is going to have to be, so there's usually 12 competitive episodes, right? 2 of them, no one's gone home, and they need to lose. But they have less queens, don't they, at 13? Hang on. Give me a second. I don't know what you have to cut. I'm sorry, Aaron. So, there are 12 competitive episodes. We've lost 2, no one going home, so there's 10 left. They need to lose 9 queens. So there will probably still be a double Shantae at some point. So they couldn't afford to do a double sachet. Which is why I don't think a double sachet happened. I think if they could have afforded one, it would have been. Nikki barely outdid Dahlia, but that's because Dahlia didn't know the words. At least Nikki had a small air of confidence about her compared to Dahlia. Really, you gotta do Iggy's earlier bad like this. Iggy finally, gets onto Drag Racing for a lip sync song, and you gotta be like, no. Also, I like how at this point, we're now 3 episodes in, and we haven't yet had a lip sync song from a lip sync song whose main artist is new to the show, because we had Nikki, who's done a couple songs, Robin, who had Dancing on Moon, All Stars 1, and Ariana Grande, who's also had a couple songs. So I don't know, I just thought I'd point that out. We've got through quite a few artists. Yeah, so Dahlia went home in a huff. Didn't think she'd go home first, but I'm not mad. I thought Dahlia would be the one that I didn't like and made it to the end, so I'm not mad that she went home first. And I don't know, it's weird how much I dislike Dahlia, and I do quite like Aja, and they're from the same house, and they're very good chums. So I was surprised. I had hopes for Dahlia, but it turns out my gut instinct from Dahlia was right. And then Untucked. I didn't mention Untucked last episode 2, because literally nothing happened worthy in Untucked. Untucked this week, the only thing that I thought I'd mention is Rockham is still insecure, and it's almost a bit, and it's almost getting on my nerves, because Rockham is so talented, is so underappreciative of herself, and could go so far in this competition if she just took a second to believe in herself. But she doesn't. And I think it will be her downfall. This isn't a spoiler because I have nothing to go with this, but I've firmly accepted that as much as I love Rockham, I'd love to be surprised, but I think there is a very, very minimal chance she's going to make it to the end. And I wouldn't even be surprised if she didn't make it halfway, because she is so insecure. I don't think it's going to do her well. And again, I thought she did really well in the first challenge, and they didn't like it. And in this challenge, she did pretty good. So I don't know. I just need it. I want her to win a challenge. I want Rockham to win at least one challenge, so even if she goes home, she can be like, I am amazing, and then can do well on All Stars 102. And then we also had Crystal, also was having a hard time of it. haven't really had much fights this season. I'm expecting Untucked isn't going to be very catty this season. I think it's going to be a lot of kumbaya, my lord. But then what got me was Darlie was basically pissed off, like, why are you supporting Crystal? I'm like, because Crystal's choking up because she's sad. Just be nice. Like, Darlie just doesn't seem nice. She's like, oh, I look like a bitch, I'm nice. I don't think you are. You don't seem like someone who is. And that's going off of what I've seen. Maybe you should present yourself better. Because you're getting bitter because Crystal is upset and is going through a hard time. Oh, what I wish someone would talk about. But then Britta and Jan and Nikki, not Nikki, sorry, but Britta and Jan at least, went over and were like, hey girl, what's going on? I don't know, I'm just not here for Dahlia. Dahlia and me don't mix. And then Nikki also had a moment. Nikki with this isn't a go at Nikki, this is a go at everyone else. Trans language barrier. What language barrier is there? Why can no one understand her? Of all the people in the Drag Race whose first language is not English, Nikki is great. Nanisha Sparks didn't understand a lot of English. Like, there were bits where people would talk to her and she just stare at them like, I don't know what you're saying. But she won a challenge lip syncing English. Like, I don't understand. I feel like they're pushing this narrative of there's a language barrier. I'm like, there's a language barrier because, like, when Nikki said Lemurian, I was like, Lima. Oh, I was stuck at hummus for a second, but I don't know. I just don't like this storyline that's being pushed of, oh, she can't speak English. I'm like, well, she can. And yeah, that was Untucked. Sorry I've been moving about a lot, but my legs are really dead. And I need to find a better way to film these videos, but currently the only way to film them is to have a dead leg the whole time. So, that was RuPaul's Drag Race season 12, episode 3. I'm hoping that the rest of the season is going to be good. This episode was pretty underwhelming compared to the two openers, but I'm going to watch classic Doctor Who story, and then edit my RuPaul's Drag Race episode 2 review, which is going up today as of filming. And then I have to do some things for my magazine that I co-edit for, and then I have to do homework, and then I also have to do some stuff for my short film that I'm making. Basically, I am having a busy day. And on top of all that, I have to keep checking my college every 10 seconds to make sure they haven't shut. So, hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, like, subscribe, hit the notif bell. I'm so sorry I'm yawning, I'm not boring, I'm just bored.